2016 was the year I started filming trains, and since then everything has changed. I've gone from middle school to college, I've become an adult, survived a pandemic, and most importantly to this video, I've created a successful rail fanning YouTube channel. While nowadays, most of my content is less focused around rail fanning and more commentary on the rail industry, the one thing that's been consistent all those years is rare trains on the Worcester line. To this day, some of the only rail fanning videos I make are centered around my local MBTA line, and I want to take some time to look back on some of the rarest trains I've seen on the Worcester line. How could I make a video of my best Worcester line catches without including the original rare train on the Worcester line? On the afternoon of May 16, 2017, two friends and I went trackside at Wellesley Farms to catch one of the few remaining YN2 GP40s on CSX B721, the Everett Local. Little did we know, however, we would soon be seeing something much cooler. Around 4 p.m., as the evening rush hour trains were starting to show up, a welded rail train turned the corner with an F40 and GP18 number 904. Aside from my first time watching trains a few months prior to this, I would consider this my first really successful day of rail fanning, and as a bonus, I saw the rail train light power heading east the next day. Both the rail train power and the YN2 Jeep on B721 have all gone their separate ways over the years, and this catch is no longer possible in 2024. 6215, the YN2 GP40, was repainted to modern CSX colors in 2018, and its train B721 was abolished the next year. As for the rail train power, 1075 was rebuilt to the F40PH-3C class in 2019, and after an engine fire in 2018, the 904 was retired. Skipping a few years ahead to 2020, we see a unique CSX train tasked with measuring and scanning tracks for defects. Symboled as W003, this geometry train made a quick trip to Framingham to turn around on the Y. East of Worcester, this line is owned by the state, so all track geometry inspections are done by the MBTA. This, however, didn't keep CSX from taking advantage of its trackage rights to Framingham. After shoving onto the Y and using the rarely used horn on the observation car, the Geo train returns to Worcester before an early morning run to Selkirk, New York. CSX tends to run its geometry train to Worcester once or twice a year, but after this turnaround in Framingham, CSX began to use the Providence in Worcester to turn trains instead. This may be the last time we'll ever see the CSX Geo train as far east as Framingham. MBTA extras are always fun to see thanks to their eclectic mix of motive power and their unique operations. No other train better represents this than the 2020 rail train. Just 1 week after the CSX Geometry Train, the MBTA ran another welded rail train via the Worcester line. After dropping rails on the Franklin line, a CSX crew helped pilot an MBTA crew up the Framingham secondary before letting the MBTA crew take the train east to Somerville. Like the 2017 rail train, this one had a unique and no longer possible set of locomotives for power. First up is 1062, one of two MassDOT F40s owned by the MBTA. This unit was rebuilt and tragically repainted in 2022. Trailing second was leased GP38-2 number 2202. This unit was on short-term lease to the MBTA between late 2019 and late 2021. Finally, trailing third was F40 number 1059, which, like 1062, was rebuilt into an F40PH-3C. A few days later, the same engines took the empty rail train back to Framingham, and then brought back an empty MBTA flat car from Grafton a few hours later. Now, the MBTA is obviously the primary operator of trains on the Worcester line, and CSX runs freight trains here and there west of Framingham, but there's one other railroad that you can expect to see on the Worcester line. That is, of course, Amtrak. Amtrak's Lakeshore Limited runs every day between Boston and Chicago, and it's not uncommon to see it moving equipment between the two cities. What is uncommon, however, is a non-powered control unit on the tail end of the train. On July 30th, 2020, Downeaster Dedicated MPCU number 90214 was placed on the end of the westbound Lakeshore, hitching a ride to Albany, New York to be used on a positive train control test train. Staying with the theme of rare Amtrak trains on the Worcester line, a few weeks later, on August 14th, the NPCU returned on the tail end of an Amtrak special to Boston. This is Amtrak 834, the same PTC test train that 90214 was sent out for, returning to Boston to test the Downeaster route. Not only is it rare to see an NPCU nose out on the Worcester line, the Pacific Bend Heritage Sleeper and a Horizon car are rarely seen in the Boston area. While I've seen countless work trains on the Worcester line, this one stands out as one of the most random ones. On October 23, 2020, the MBTA sent a stone train out of Worcester to drop ballast. What was weird, however, was the caboose on the end. Usually when the MBTA runs stone trains on the south side, it sandwiches hopper cars between two locomotives, but for whatever reason, this one had just one locomotive in the C1 caboose. C1, also known as the buggy, is used almost exclusively on the north side, so seeing it here in Wellesley was pretty rare. Next up is probably what I consider to be the rarest train I've ever seen on the Worcester line, a power move featuring one of Pan Am Railway's iconic FP9s. On March 31st, 2022, the MBTA ran a trio of locomotives out to Worcester to be displayed for the 2022 RailTech Conference. It's extremely rare to see Pan Am on the Worcester line, let alone one of its passenger units, and the MBTA genset locomotive on the head end made this even more rare. Here it is returning to Boston after spending most of the day in Worcester. Pan Am has since been bought out by CSX, and both of its F units are currently stored in Waycross, Georgia. As I said before, the Lakeshore Limited is no stranger to equipment moves. It's not uncommon to see 3 and even sometimes 4 engines on the head end. What is rare, however, is 5. On June 18, 2022, Amtrak 449, the westbound Lakeshore Limited, had 5 P-42s on the head end, with the Phase 3 Heritage unit trailing to sweeten the deal. This is the only time I've ever seen an Amtrak train with more engines than cars. June 18th was another remarkable day for trains on the Worcester line, as just about an hour later I got word that CSX would be going into Boston to deliver a rail train to the MBTA. If you didn't know, the Boston line used to be a busy CSX Mainline, but in 2012, the state bought the line between Boston and Worcester, and in 2013, Boston's Beacon Park Yard was closed, with freight trains now terminating about 40 miles west in Worcester. Since 2013, mainline CSX engines have been extremely rare, if not non-existent east of Framingham, but as luck would have it, on this day, CSX Y101 ran to Beacon Park. This is the only time, and probably always will be the only time, I've seen mainline GEs in Wellesley. Next up is a story of perseverance. In April of 2023, CSX sent 2 of its executive fleet F40s to Worcester, Massachusetts to test Axis signaling systems. After 2 unsuccessful nights waiting for them to run east of Worcester, finally, after countless hours of waiting, around 3 in the morning on April 7th, we heard they were running 2 miles east of Worcester to the signal at milepost 43. This is the CSX Technical Research Special, symboled as P950, finally showing up after waiting for it all night. MBTA was preparing for a multi-year, multi-million-dollar project moving PTC signaling wires underground to make the commuter rail less vulnerable to adverse weather. In order to do such a task, the agency would lease a specialized train to lay and bury wires, in addition to a caboose and locomotives to operate it. Well, the actual cars came in without any fanfare up north. Both the 2 leased engines and the caboose came in on 2 separate extras on the Worcester line. First up were the engines, 2 GP40-based leasers provided by Precision Locomotive Leasing. Interestingly, they were just slapped on the back of an out-of-service commuter rail train set. A few weeks later, the wire train's caboose followed, this time being picked up by a single locomotive. Aside from the C1 on that ballast train in 2020, this is the only time I've ever seen a caboose on the Worcester line. Also, 2 freight engines on the back of a commuter rail train is pretty unique too. Finally, just recently, the MBTA moved a locomotive that's almost 70 years old. On June 4th, 2024, an extra was sent to Middleborough to pick up 904, a GP18 that was once used on all Southside work trains. Unfortunately, in 2018, the 904 suffered an engine fire, and since then it's been stored in Rochester, Massachusetts. Today, the Middleborough Extra is running on the Worcester line for just a few miles up to the Grand Junction running track, where it'll continue to Somerville. Throughout most of its career in the MBTA, 904 was painted blue and silver, but unfortunately in 2020 it was vandalized and hastily painted black to cover up the graffiti. Finally, after 6 years of sitting dormant, the MBTA is working to donate this historic engine. .904 felt like the perfect way to wrap up this video. I would consider that 2017 rail train with 904 to be my first rare train on the Worcester line, and my most recent had the same engine. Luckily, I still live right along the Worcester line, so for now, I'm not done filming rare trains on it. Obviously, as I said earlier, nowadays I'm more focused on commentary-style videos, but the occasional rail fanning video here and there allows me to get back out trackside and watch trains like the old days. So thanks for watching this, and stay tuned for more videos, both rail fanning and commentary.